Welcome to Cooking with Heart for Cancer Class 1. So we get to share an hour together for the next 4 weeks. And I just love sharing information and some delicious recipes so that I can just bomb this false belief that healthy has to taste blah. Okay, so that is one of my main goals of these classes because that's a hogwash. So, and we are going to learn ways to slow down, halt, trip up cancer. So just add a lot of power to what you're eating, and what you're eating can have a lot of effect on the health in your body. And I've had people in classes here that they have seen changes from what they ate. Now, I don't have any guarantees. I can't, the science isn't down to that. But I can definitely tell you that if you start integrating the strategies that I share throughout these classes, that you will definitely slow down any cancer progression, and you'll be stronger whenever that day comes and you have a diagnosis. So, and some of you I know are survivors, so you're looking at remission and things like that. So definitely the strategies that we'll share in here are going to help you with that. I can't guarantee cancer, never, but I wish, but I know definitely it has a huge effect. So why not eat delicious food while you're nourishing your body and making yourself more powerful? Okay, so so I want a little housekeeping. So everybody should have gotten a binder. So either here in person or you got one sent to you. I know, Julie, yours is coming very shortly. So, but if you didn't get a binder, send me in the comments. Those people that are joining online, if you did a great job jumping in here. There's two things that I want you to know about kind of the technology there. If you touch the screen, you should notice some icons floating somewhere, and you're looking for the chat one. So the chat one, I'll ask you to send some just participation through the chat. So you can just send your comments there. The other one is you should have a microphone that's got a kind of a icon with an X through it. I do mute you, but I do want your feedback. And if you're comfortable unmuting yourself, you can share at any point. So those are the two ways that I love for you guys to participate from home. You are here, and I want you to participate. And when you do talk and take yourself off mute, we do hear it, okay? The whole class hears it. So like I mentioned before, we are recording classes. This is not like, for national TV kind of recording, but I do usually get a pretty good audio, and you can see, the general idea. So that's there for you. It's meant just as a way to review, maybe if there's a lot of information I share here. And we do know your schedules are busy. I am asking that you do clear out the next 4 Tuesdays best you can. I know you have valuable stuff to be doing, but I really try and make the most of your time here. So try not reschedule, but if you have to, we have the recordings, okay? So, and I know life comes, and now is the best time. So a lot of people are like, oh, I have this commitment and this. I'm like, just get started on this. Start integrating. So there's a lot that are shared in the classes. So, okay, let's see. You guys got a pre-assessment in your, is it in your binder there? So I have my staff helps me put these together, and I forgot that. So that really helps me. And then there's some easy questions that really help you monitor how you're doing, both mindset and some of your habits, the key habits that really show me, are they going to make a difference? So I will give you a copy of your pre-assessment at the end of the class, so you can look at that and compare it to your post-assessment and see if you changed on some of these. And most everybody will change on them, and that makes a big difference. So go ahead and fill that out and leave that behind. Your name tags for people in person, you can leave that behind here or in your binder if you want to put it in your pocket in your binder. So those are some of the things that you've got. There's a welcome letter to the first in your binder, and that talks about the classes. And there's a blank at the end of the welcome letter that says, why are you taking this class? And I want you to think about that. Why are you taking this? You heard about it somewhere and something intrigued you. What do you want to get out of this class? So think about that, and I'm going to ask you to share in just a moment. Also, at the last part of the class, I'm going to ask you to set an action step, because you're here not just to hear great information, you're here to put into action and really make a difference in your life. And that's what I want. So I'm going to actually ask you to set an action step, take you through that. Very simple. This is what the research says really helps in actually making changes in your lifestyle. Okay. So making sustainable lifestyle change is tough. Okay. I'm not here to tell you it's easy, but I've integrated into the classes psychology, mindset, and all the principles for integrating actual changes in your lifestyle. So you're going to get cutting edge stuff here. This is really important for me. But just know in the back of your mind, this tough is stuff is tough and it's important to you. And if you get frustrated, that's a good sign that you're progressing, that you're doing something that's important to you. You wouldn't get frustrated if it wasn't important to you. And frustration usually means you're getting close to a breakthrough. So hang in there. Okay. Think about this. I will make positive changes. I will see results from my changes. Think about that. Integrate that. Go ahead and say that in your head. I will make positive changes. I will see results from my positive changes. That's what these classes are about. Okay, so now I want to hear from you. Share, if you're comfortable, those people at home, go ahead and send in the chat what it is you want to get out of these classes. And those here, just go ahead and share.
Better health, longevity.
Sandy, better health, longevity. Bingo, you're going to get that.
Learning to cook better.
Learning to cook better, Sharon. Okay. You're going to be confident, delicious in the kitchen. Definitely.
Different
yes.
things other than like salads, and,
I know. I don't even like that word salads because it kind of brings up just this iceberg lettuce idea. So yes, no, we're going to have a lot of interesting, delicious things. So awesome. Others? Yes. Oh, I love that. Is it Tina? Tara, my eyes are bad. So Tara, opening my eyes to things. Awesome. Oh, love it. So we got some stuff from the chat here. Learning more how to eat for cancer prevention. My dad had colon cancer and 3 other primary cancers. Awesome, Julie. Oh, we do have a sharing. I mentioned before we started class about the dementia. We're going to have a heart-to-heart the September 26th, just to get those that weren't here caught up. It's in the Jardine. It's something that the cardiology department holds, but we're going to switch a little pivot and have a dementia talk about vascular health and how that relates your dementia and heart. So it's a great speaker, so that we will have a recording. It won't be live online, but we always do record. So we will give that out there. It's just a little different, the facilities there in the Jardine. So Julie, just send me an email so I put you on the list, or you can register, because I send everybody who registers the recording. So awesome. And we have another message here. I'm looking for healthier cooking for me that I can do with my diabetic husband. Awesome. And I'm a cancer survivor. Awesome. Wonderful, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you. Well, a little bit about me. I am not a survivor of cancer at this point. My mother has survived 5 cancers. She's 82. She is super healthy. She just had to go on a statin. So otherwise than that, she's on no meds. The beginning of this year, she went to New Zealand for 3 weeks, in Australia. She did rafting in the Colorado River, Grand Canyon, in the heat of the summer. I'm not sure why her and her new husband chose that time of the year, but they said the water was fine. It was when they were out of the water that was really hot. So she's just, traveling. She went to Cancun, just got back from Cancun. So that's the kind of life I want. Now, she had her first breast cancer. She's had both sides breast cancer, 52 young. And she changed on that day. her eating, her exercise, and her stress. She became a yoga instructor at 72. I still remember, she held my oldest, who's now 27, 2 months old, and there were tears streaming down because she was like, am I going to make it to her graduation? So I just know how it just hits you. And so for me, at 57, I want to put off cancer as long as possible. So I know it's there, but I'm going to fight it and put it off as long as possible. So I'm going to share with you a lot of things that I do, and these things that I share with you are recipes that I use and techniques. Okay, so give me a thumbs up or thumbs down for this next statement. So give me a thumbs up if you believe more than 10% of cancers are from genetics, by an inherited gene. And thumbs down if you think it's less than 10%. So thumbs up or thumbs down. I got some thumbs up. I got some thumbs down. Okay. It is actually, okay, there I got some, okay, sorry, I didn't catch you guys there. It is thumbs down. It is less than 10%. Less than 10% are from genetics. Okay, so 40% are from lifestyle that we think, and possibly more, okay, for cancer. So you're here to do just that. It really does make a difference. Now, cancer is slow growing, and chances are everybody here has cancer growing at some point, like now, in your body, but it's just a matter of how we progress it. So, a bonus that I give out in this class too, after you go, if you come to the 4th class, I have kind of in a ranking of the top foods for cancer fighting. Now, what happens when we talk about cancer is there's 10 common steps for all these cancers. I mean, cancers are really complex and different. They vary, but there's 10 steps that are common in all of them. And so when I look at a food, I look at how many steps it's hitting for these 10 steps. Is it hitting one really strong, or is it, from what we know in the research? So at the 4th class, kind of a gift, a bonus I give is I highlight those foods that we have the strongest research right now for hitting those 10 steps. Okay. So, let's just get on to our juicy nutrition info. I'm going to hop into a PowerPoint presentation and go into the truths and the myths, some of the big ones when we're talking about cancer. So I'm going to hop over here. Here we go. Okay. First tip, I'm going to talk about some things that underlie all my classes. And for those who have been in, this is a refresher, but it's so important. These are 4 things you need to adopt if you're going to really make lasting change. So first thing is have an open mind. And thank you. Was it Tara?
Yes.
Tara was spot on. Having an open mind. You just never know what's going to work. Some of the gifts are super surprising things. Everything is a learning opportunity. So you're going to work on these dishes that I share. I want you to work on how to make them taste even better, how to make them quickly if they're really great for your taste, how to make them easier, time less and easier. So improve, and don't give up. I'm always looking for new ways to improve. There's just so many gifts waiting for you, and healthy food does not need to be boring unless you want to make it that way. So we are going to wake up your taste buds, and they're going to be like, wow, I didn't know about this before. You're going to learn from dishes and then make them even better and learn new things. And sometimes things will go wrong, but there'll be a gift in that. So I've had many recipes where I've been stuck like, oh my goodness, I'm out of this ingredient. What am I going to do? And then I find something, I'm like, that's even better. Wow, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to start doing it that way. Next thing is take baby steps. This is going to be really hard for those of you that are high achieving people. And I know I got lots of them in the room. Okay, Midwesterners are hardworking people. And so, but this is really hard because this is lifestyle. And what we know from lifestyle change is you don't go like for the big reach goal. You want it to happen in the background. You want it to happen irregardless of what's going on in your life. I say you want to crush it on your worst day. if you had a horrible week next week, I'd want you to still hang on to all the great stuff that you start to integrate into your lifestyle. That's what you want to happen. And instead, what a lot of people do is they're like, just tell me what to do. Just tell me, Teresa, give me the menus. And then they want to just like clear out and go for all those things. And it doesn't work that way because you've got set up so many automatic habits that are going to just creep in and make it difficult. So you just want to start small so that it's almost undetectable and just keep going at it. Just like I'm going, it's a never ending journey. And what people don't believe is actually, and I need to put them together. I have like my lipids from my 20s, my 30s, when I turned 50, and now. And guess where my lipids are the best? Now. Now. Not in my 20s or 30s. Now, they weren't like going to give me a heart attack then, but they weren't looking great. And definitely the doctor would probably have thought about some medication if I had them right now. So you can keep improving. It is possible. Okay, have self-compassion. So things are going to go off course. You're going to forget an ingredient or get the wrong thing, get home and read the label and go, it got me again. You're going to overeat. You're going to, this is hard stuff, guys. We are wired for negativity. We're wired to overeat. So those are two things that don't go in our favor. So allow yourself to get upset and frustrated for just a little bit and then say, okay, what can I learn from this? What's the learning growth opportunity here? And just move on. You're going to have those, lots of those, but just continue on. How you react when things don't go well, tell me how you're going to do on this journey. Are you going to frazzle out or are you going to keep with it? Because I'm here to tell you things are going to go wrong and frustrate you at times. Not all the time, but at times. And how you are, how you pick up and keep going is going to help tell me if you're in for the long haul, if you're going to be able to keep with it. And that is so much self-compassion. You got to be kind to yourself and know this is tough stuff and that it's baby steps, it's mindset. Okay, skip the guilt, the shame, feeling bad. Okay, manufacturers are really kind of out there to kind of get at, and we're going to talk about that in class 3 a lot more. So don't beat yourself up, don't berate yourself. Okay, last thing, have fun. And I'm all about having fun. Right now, you're probably excited. You want to do a lot of the things that we're going to share today. That's great, but that's going to wane, okay? So you got to have other things to look forward to. And those here have noticed maybe, and those at home, you'll notice that I have a wine glass filled with water, okay? Sandy said, oh, darn. So, okay. So now, and that's about just having fun, making it special. I have special plates, special bowls. My kids do. We have to ask permission. I will occasionally have a glass of wine earlier in the evening because I don't want to disturb my sleep. Okay, I know that's tough given our social kind of cultural things, but I do. And then I switch to water. But I still have it in a wine glass. I still have it in a wine glass because it's special. And I actually drink more when it's in the wine glass. So that's something I can always work on is drinking water. So that's one of my downfalls is water. So what can you do? You can play music that you like that, 90s, 80s, dance in the kitchen, or you can have, I love harp music and flute music if you want to go a little more meditative, but blast it in the kitchen when you're prepping, when you're cooking, or, put books on tape or podcasts. Okay, my 27-year-old, she's all about podcasts and movies. My 21-year-old, she's all about music and these kind of independent groups and things like that. So, figure out what you like. Invite somebody over. They may not help, but they help in their own way by being there. So, or after you're done, call somebody up. Or what I do is Saturday is my day. Friday, I plan the menus. Saturday, I go to all these all these Walmart, and then what I'm left with that wasn't pass my test, I go to IV because, and then I get home and then I store everything, clear everything out, put it the same way I'm going to teach you here. So that takes a good portion of my Saturday morning. So I sit down and watch about 10 minutes of Hulu. That's my treat. So, I look forward to that. It's my moment to sit down. So figure out what it takes. Putting candles on. When I eat, I actually have candles, whether I'm alone or with the kids. Candles, yes. And I use napkins. They're not cloth, but they're nice napkins. So just making it nice. This is good stuff. This is nourishing your body. Okay, last thing is a bonus tip, and that is start using the word choose or get to rather than I have to, I need to, I should. Okay, there's a big difference in how it resonates in your body. So try that. I choose to, I get to. When you start to do that, it really changes things. So, okay, so let's get to the cancer myth. So this is the big one. Does sugar feed cancer? Okay, the problem is it isn't black and white. So it's not definitely a yes, definitely a no. Okay, every cell in the body needs simple sugar in the form of glucose. Every cell in the body needs glucose. Okay, your body runs really well on it. But the mistake people make is they jump to, oh, well, then plain sugar is what my body. No. Your body prefers whole foods. And it will break it down and release the carb, the little bit of carb or sugar, and use it very intentionally. Okay, it likes to take whole foods and break it down to building blocks. It likes this complex picture. That's what it's been doing for hundreds of thousands of years. So it was made to run like that. It wasn't made to get this bolus feeding of sugar, okay, that we're giving it, just plain old-fashioned sugar right into our system. Okay, high sugar foods, refined carbs to me are the same. Okay, you're going to learn that. So they kind of set the alarms off in your body, and your body freaks out. Yes, it wants glucose, sugar, but when you give it in large amounts, it really says, I don't have any idea what to do. So you know what? I'm going to do things like pack it as fat. I'm going to transform it into triglycerides, and then I'm going to pack it in your belly, especially if you're over 40. Okay. So it really does a completely different picture when you give it a lot of sugar or refined carb. Now, okay. Now, what about the nasty, evil cancer cells? Well, they love refined sugar. They love calories. And they do really well with blasts of sugar. Okay. They aren't so picky. So basically both healthy and unhealthy cells need sugar, but the form it is makes a big difference. When you eat whole grains, you get tons more than just glucose or sugar. You get fiber, and it's a slow release, and you get minerals and phytochemicals and even proteins in there. And oh my goodness, there's just a lot of things in there that do a lot of things in your body, including feeding stuff in your colon. So even though it's glucose, it's tucked in the whole foods, and it's very different than eating refined carbs in your body, in the way your body processes it. Things like pasta, white bread, and really bread, and tortillas, white tortillas, things like that. That is refined carb like gangbusters, okay? So, and another kind of, I talked about how sugar in high amounts, your body tends to then convert it to triglycerides. So your triglyceride number goes up, and then you pack it as fat in your mid area, which is the most dangerous fat, and it stumps your immune system. So you're not using that it's kind of blocked somewhat of its capabilities. So those are other things that happen. Okay. And cancer cells will make sugar from other things. Okay. So it's not, so if you try and eliminate sugar, which isn't going to really even happen because there's so much sugar and carb everywhere. But if you thought you were, it's still not going to make a difference because the cancer cells can convert things to glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis. Your whole body can do that too. Okay, so there's no black and white answer for sugar. Is it feeding cancer or not? The bottom line is not no sugar, but avoid large amounts of refined sugar and carbs. So keep in mind, during cancer treatment, some people will be like, oh, but I've been asked to, eat lots of sugar or high calorie. And they said, this ice cream and stuff like that. That's a different goal then. You've got to get your body up for the treatment. It's different than what we're talking about for prevention of growing the cancer. So here's the names to look for sugar on products. 75% of products on the shelf, anything with a label, is going to have sugar. Okay, and there's 61 names that are allowed on the label that mean sugar. So these are the top ones. You see that a lot of them have OSE on them. So I tend to look for the first 3 to 5 ingredients on the ingredient list. That's how I read for sugar. I actually don't even look at the grams of sugar because I do, but I don't really, we can use the number 10 grams of added sugar, no more than in a product. Otherwise, it's definitely a lot of sugar, but there's a lot of ways manufacturers can get around that. I'm just saying. So I look for the ingredient list, and if anything in the top 3 to 5 is sugar, or I have a hunch it's sugar, then I'll say, is this what I'm considering a high sugar product? Did I know that? Or am I being fooled? Okay, maybe I'm gonna look for a swap it and look for a substitute. So those are the things that I look for. The 10 grams of added sugar is helpful to some degree. For women, we want no more than 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar a day added. Okay, not in naturally in fruit, whole fruit and stuff like that. I'm talking added. For men, it's like 9 teaspoons, so that's 36 grams because there's 4 grams of sugar in 1 teaspoon. Okay, so moving on to alkaline diet. Does it starve cancer? False. Okay, the myth came about because scientists in a lab grew cancer cells and found they grow really fast in acidic conditions in a petri dish. Okay, but that's not my body. Okay, so a little bit about pH. So your blood pH is usually around 7.35 to 7.45. So you can see there, the stars in your body for regulating your pH are your kidney and your liver, or kidney and your lungs. Your kidney and your lungs are they act like, the thermostat in your house, how your air conditioning, your heater go on. That's your lungs and your kidney. They will keep that pH very closely held. And it's not, it's pretty easy for them to do. So it's not like a taxing thing that we need to help them with. So now also foods that you eat, maybe that are acidic, like protein, alcohol, or alkaline, like fruits and vegetables, when they hit your stomach, look at the chart there. Your stomach is 1 on the pH. So they're bathed in this pH of 1, or 1.5 to 3.5. Your stomach can be very there. It's very acidic. So this is going to break the bonds in your proteins, and so they become amino acids, so they can be absorbed. It neutralizes harmful pathogens in your stomach too. So it's not really going to have the effect everybody thinks it has. So I really don't follow this. In general, if you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're going to be more alkaline then. So, and that's really what a lot of people are trying to do. So I just don't really follow this, that I follow other strategies that we have a lot more research. Green tea. So green tea, yes, yes, yes. Okay. So it has this thing called ECGC, agiloketogen gallate. I can't say it. It's a super strong antioxidant. It also protects your DNA. It also messes with cancer growth and its ability to spread. And it also helps abnormal cells be swept away, be eliminated. And that's a big thing in cancer. When you get a cell that kind of mutates, changes, you want it gone. Okay. When it hangs around, it causes problems, kind of like a rotting apple. And so it's really important that our systems that destroy and eliminate those off cells are in tip-top shape. Now, here's the thing when we start talking about green tea and ginger and garlic, the weight of proof is not strong in humans. It's strong in animals. Now, human studies, it's usually inconclusive because it's really hard to have a placebo and a control and do a full study on cancers, okay? It's just like impossible, okay? Plus, who's going to pay for it? Because, you know, a company isn't going to make billions of dollars on green tea because there's no like monopoly on it. So the funding can come through NIH sometimes, but that's not usually where their funding is. So we don't really have, for a lot of these food components that we'd like to look at, and I don't mean like supplements, I mean like, you know, whole foods, it's very hard to find studies that say, yes, this is great. I highly recommend it. Now, I wouldn't use green tea as your only cancer strategy, but it's definitely high because it hits on several of the pathways in the common cancer pathways. So some tips for green tea. For best flavor, 170 degrees Fahrenheit, so you don't boil it. You can boil it and then stop it and then put the bag in. The polyphenols are fine, though, the good stuff in there for cancer if you do boil it. 3 to 5 minutes to steep for flavor. Again, it's just for flavor. It gets kind of a bitter tannin-ish. If you go longer than that, you don't destroy the polyphenols, though. Now, what destroys the polyphenols is the ice. What really happens if you put ice, like you do a cold drink with a green tea, is the polyphenols will cling to the ice. So you better eat the ice. Okay. So I just said, you know, if you want to in the summertime make a green tea, just, you know, don't put it in the refrigerator. Just don't put ice in it. Milk inhibits some of the catechins if you let the milk sit in the tea for like a half an hour or longer. So if you drink your tea pretty quickly after you add milk, if you like to add milk like the English do, you know, just drink it pretty quickly. And I would say no bottled tea drinks, you know, don't get the shelf ones that say they're green tea and think that you're really getting the good stuff. They've been handled quite a bit and under heat and things like that we just don't know that they are. So, but just Lipton tea bags, any of those, I've looked at the research, all those show up as good things. Now, if you're like Teresa, but you know, green tea tastes like grass. And yes, it does if you pay attention really, or if you have, you know, super taster taste buds. So you can go to matcha. Matcha is basically green tea ground powder that you drink. And there's ceremonial. The ceremonial is more expensive, and the ceremonial gets the shade and practically gets, you know, fanned, and it's more expensive, but it really is like more gently handled. So it does have more polyphenols. Matcha is a great way of like getting 10 servings of tea at once. So if you're like, Teresa, I just don't see myself doing 2 to 5 cups of green tea a day, but I really want to get the benefit, then do matcha once a week. And you can do matcha tea, or you can take the powder and make like a raspberry goes pretty well with matcha. Raspberry with a teeny bit of sweetener and make a smoothie. That's what I do. It doesn't like totally disappear the grassiness, but you know, it's 10 servings kind of in one, 10 boosts of green tea in one smoothie. So I'll do that sometimes on Saturday. I'll just have a matcha. It's just because I may not get my green tea during the week. So Dr. Wheel, he's a big time cancer contemporary physician. He never meant to be contemporary alternative, but he's probably up in his 70s now, and he kind of started the whole like, you know what, I think there's more to medicine than what's being done. And he's kind of ended up going that way. He has an institute in Arizona that's really awesome. And he has like some matcha tea that if you had the means to buy, that would be what I would buy. But just saying, he definitely is he went over to Japan and like oversaw the whole field and process and made sure it was like really got as much polyphenols as possible. So that's another possibility. Okay, ginger, garlic, turmeric. Yes, yes, yes. These are the highest in the research for cancer. Again, we're not going to find strong human studies because nobody's going to make $1 billion off of any studies with this. So just start thinking about what herbs and spices can you start adding more and more of. We'll talk more about some of these great gems here in the future classes, but just start thinking about what can you add more of because it's going to benefit you for sure. Okay, supplements. In general, I don't recommend. There's some exceptions. Some have limited evidence. If your doctor recommends, of course, do it. Plant food's always best to go with the whole food. Our body does better. There's competition for transporters. There's differences in absorbing. Some you need to eat with food, some without, so there's all kinds of these things. So, if your doctor recommends, definitely things like vitamin D is one of those that's hard living where we do to get enough. So I'm definitely on board with that. Unless you like cod liver oil and Norwegian, then you probably get enough. But things like that, if you're vegan, B12 might be something to look into. There's some exceptions. And then, if you're looking at a high triglyceride and your doctor recommends omega-3s, that's another thing. Again, these have limited evidence, but given your situation, everybody's different here. Your doctor recommends, go ahead with that. But whole foods, think of it like the orchestra. Like if you just close your eyes and hear music played as an orchestra, it just is amazing. And then if you heard the flute, I love the flute, but it's very different to hear a piece with the flute playing it and then get the whole orchestra in it. And that's kind of what you're talking about with supplements versus, hey, the whole food. It's really a whole different kind of playing field when we talk about the whole food versus a supplement. Okay, I do need to finish up here. Did we already talk about previous phytochemicals? Okay, okay. Oh, there we go. I skipped. I put those out of order. Okay, so phytochemicals, that's the super stuff in plants. So real quickly, plants, you know this, but I'm going to bring it to your attention that plants can't run inside when they're growing. They have to stay in the ground and they have to wither 90 degrees, over 100 degrees, get radiation. They have to get storms, rainstorms. They have to have nibbling by deer and things like that, and ants. And they have to learn how to wither all of that and still bring about whatever they blossom, their leaves, their fruits, their stem, whatever they do we end up eating. And we get their defense systems when we eat them. We get essentially sunblock and anti-pollution stuff. We get, the bitterness in your cruciferous is all about keeping the deer away and the ants. So we get that, and it does great stuff in our body. A carrot has 100 that we know of, an apple 400 of these they're phytochemicals. They're called, phyto means Greek plant, and chemicals it's a bioactive compound. So don't let that word freak you out. So 3/4 of what you eat, you want to be plants. That's not hard to do, but just start thinking of it as close as you can to whole foods, plants. So, okay. So, I wanted to real quickly have you take a moment to, on those that have a sticky here, write so far, what is one takeaway? What is one thing that's sticking out in your mind? And write it on there, okay? So those at home, go ahead and send it to me in chat. I'm going to start getting ready for the cooking demo portion. But I want you to think about what one thing, because I cover a lot, and I know it's not all going to stick. I want some of it to stick. So this is my way of helping you and one another help bring out something that's going to stick with you so that you aren't losing all of this in 2 days. So, and then the action step, I'm just flashing this, you should have in the back of your binder. And then there actually is the last page for week 1, you'll see action steps suggested. You never have to do all of these. I'm just throwing out. You pick an easy one for you. You pick, yourself, use your inner wisdom to pick 1, maybe 2 Do not pick 5 or all of them, okay? Then you're not abiding by my baby steps. So, okay, I'm gonna get off here and start cooking. So, and let's see. Need to get off the sharing. Okay, more motivation to continue to take steps to increase plant whole food. Awesome, Julie. Donna, change my bottled True Teeth green tea to bag. Yes, try matcha. Awesome. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, and I'm going to collect those in just a second. I'm going to get started with some of the cooking here. I've got to switch my cameras here real quick. Get to the oven, you're going to have to let me know. So. Okay, so the donuts we are going to use white whole wheat flour. How many of you knew about white whole wheat flour? It's a whole grain flour. So I have some up here for you to see. It's a little lighter than whole grain, if you've ever worked with the whole grain. It's just a different wheat. It's still whole grain. It's a little less of the strong whole grain flavor. It's a little softer in texture, but it is still whole grain, which means we have the germ, the bran, and the endosperm, which means it's not going to make like Texas Roadhouse soft, gooey rolls, okay? So, but we're going to appreciate what it does. So, so we're going to use a cup of that. You could use, if you have, I wouldn't start substituting this flour for all-purpose flour in all your recipes because again, it is whole grain. So what you could do in most recipes, you could substitute half and then half all-purpose. But this brings some fiber. It is ground up, which does kind of change the fiber, but it's still much better than refined all-purpose flour. So I'm just going to add my seasoning, some cinnamon, some baking powder. You can get low sodium baking powder online. We used to have it in this area, but it's disappeared since COVID. So bread products for anybody over 50 is one of the #1 sources of salt. So there's a lot of salt in bread products. People don't really process one. So any way you can like reduce it is good. So just baking powder is the low sodium is half. So, okay, we're going to put in the blender the other ingredients. So I'm going to put together chickpeas. So I just drained and rinsed them, just a can of no added salt there. So this doesn't cost any more. You can get it at Walmart or Hy-Vee, but you save like 420 milligrams of sodium per serving. So definitely something you want to do. Read the labels. Then I've got my sweet potato here, and I just steamed it in here in my Pampered Chef. Unfortunately, I can't find any other microwave steamer with the holes on top. I don't know if they have a patent on it or what. The other ones kind of have them different. You have to add water. This one, you never have to add water, and I steam all my veggies in it. So it's magical, and it saves a lot. It's just wonderful. So I just used the sweet potato, peeled it. Now, I do want to caution, potato is kind of, you have to use a little oomph behind it. I usually, when I cut it up, I usually go down and down, get them flat, and then like this. Because you're trying, when you're cutting, you're trying to find flat edges so that you're safe and you can go quicker and you can go even, okay? A lot of us are gonna go instead like this to cut it up. Well, this is rolling. So instead, I like to cut it into chunks that I can work with and then do this, then put it flat and then go with it. Then put it in the steamer, a little over a 1 cup because it's going to shrink down once it's steamed. 2 to 2.5 minutes is usually what I do in that. So I'm going to add that in. I did that 3 days ago. It stays. So just FYI, sweet potatoes is easy to do bulk. So maple syrup, that's my sweetener. Maple syrup is sugar. It's not magical different. It just brings a little different flavor that's nice to add to this, but it's sugar, guys. It's definitely nothing magical than sucrose and table sugar. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of canola oil. And the reason I did canola oil, I'm a big extra virgin olive oil person that you'll learn, but canola oil is bland. In other words, no flavor. When we do baking, usually want no flavor. I could use olive oil. You might detect a little difference, maybe not. It's up to you, but canola, I rarely ever use, but it would only be in like baking when I need it very bland. So a teaspoon of vanilla, and I think, I need the yogurt. So yeah. So I'm going to grab that and my eggs, 2 eggs, and some yogurt. So I'm just going to add this in and then blend it up. Greek, all-purpose Greek non-fat plain yogurt. It's hard to find in the yogurt shelf, but it's really valuable for doing a lot of cooking and bringing flavor to things. So I'm just going to then add this and blend this up, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the donuts. Okay, so I'm going to add that to my dry ingredients here. So stir that up, and then I'm going to put it into a plastic bag, and I've got donut pans. So if you don't have a donut pan, don't worry. You can just do muffin pans and then use a core and take out the center. And if you're like, I don't have a muffin pan, hey, I gotcha. Just do 2 layers of the paper cups and just, put it on like a baking pan and put it in the oven. That could be your makeshift. I don't want you buying equipment until you know you love the recipe. So I don't want you buying donut pans until you're like, oh, I really like this. I'm going to use this recipe. It does take a little time, this recipe, but you can freeze the donuts. The donuts today, I made on Thursday, guys. So with the holiday weekend, I was like, I want to be all ready for this morning. So I did, and I put them in the refrigerator. If it was longer than today, I would have gone to freezer, but you can do that. And they're great to especially if you want to do something kind of special on the weekend or you have grandkids over. So you'll see that I've had people do like a donut bar where they decorate the top however they want. So there's this pan, either of these work. I've made both of them. You guys can see they're basically similar, but a little different, but the same cooking time. I took them out the same. They bake, it really bakes easy. I sprayed this with nonstick oil. Make sure your nonstick is totally either canola or olive, that there's no palm added. And the only way you can check is look at the ingredient list, because you'll be fooled, because there'll be fine print that says somewhere diluted. So I've gotten caught before and home and mad and blah. So just check the ingredients always. I just go to the ingredients. The front is a standstill advertisement. So, okay. So I'm mixing this together. Got it blended pretty good. And then my baggie, here's my baggie. So I do it in a baggie because I don't know about you, I'm not coordinated enough to put that in there without making a mess and licking my fingers right and left. So I find just use a baggie. If you have a piping bag, great. But just roll down the sides, I find works the best. We're going to get in the corner. And beware, many baggies nowadays don't have right corners, okay? They fool you. They have like this double thing, and it's like, it does not cut very well. So just be aware, it makes a mess. So we're just I'm going to put a little bit in there. I usually did, for all these donuts, I made all with one batch. And I did a big bag. So, and I squeezed and used all of it because I want to make sure everybody had one here, a donut to try. So I'm just going to cut the edge, bring it over to the edge, grab my scissors. Oh, I should have gotten them out. Okay, here we go. I'll use those. So we're going to bring it down. So just like that. That's actually a little full because it's going to rise up. So I just want to show you. And usually, I'll do a little bit of smoothing there, wipe around the edges if I kind of messed it up. So kind of get that there. Okay, so do all these, then put it in the oven 10 to 12 minutes. take it out. I've never had any problem with underdone or overdone or anything like that. Actually, that's nice. Most of these recipes you can't mess up to the, well, there's always potential, but just saying, I have not had any problem with different ovens because I'm at home versus here. So, but you do want to let them set. A lot of times I will, I'll slap them upside down to get them out. If they don't come out, then I take the knife very patiently. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to, like me, if you're not very dexterous, you'll be like, I just cut through it. Oh no. So just carefully take it around, shake it a little bit, and then it'll come out. Usually it will. So, and for those of you that are at home, here are some of the finished products. So what I did is I chopped up some 60% cocoa Ghirardelli there for the chocolate ones, very popular. Blueberries, these are dried strawberries there. And then the ones without any, I just sprinkled a little powdered sugar on. It does need a little bit of sweetness if you're thinking of this as a donut. It's so you can have fun with it. So the strawberries I got at Walmart, they now carry them. So Hy-Vee does. So just have fun with it. For the frosting, I just took like a quarter cup of Greek yogurt and 2 teaspoons of powdered sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and just mixed it up and put it on. I mean, it's a little soupy. It's not like super stand-up frosting, but it's good. It's perfect. So this is homemade. So, but get that sunrise donut. So there you go. I want to also remember the chai tea. So the chai tea is a recipe you have. The chai tea has turmeric, ginger, cinnamon. It is like to die for with anti-cancer stuff. Like it's just chock full. Has no caffeine. So when I have an urge for a Starbucks, I go, oh, let me just get a chai tea. And then I get my chai tea. It saves me $7. And it's so good for me. And sometimes at night, I'm like, oh, I just feel like something, maybe tea, herbal, or hey, let me just have the chai tea. So I made one batch. One batch is about 5 servings. I've actually given this away as gifts. You can just make it in here and shake it up. I usually store it with my 1 teaspoon. This is actually how I store it, with this 1 teaspoon measure, because then I know, and I used to write on the top in permanent marker, 1.5 teaspoon mix, 2 teaspoon maple syrup. So I remember, you got to make it easy so I don't have to go to the recipe. So, and I store this because I can just, what I'll do is I'll just scoop out 1.5 teaspoon into my cup. Then I'll measure 2 teaspoons of the maple syrup, stir it up, rinse it under the faucet, and put it back here. I don't have to wash it. I don't have to, just always use it for that. Now, cinnamon, if you know about cinnamon, cinnamon is kind of chalky if you have a lot of cinnamon in a recipe. So it's a little chalky. I've been told that before. And I was like, okay, let's figure this out. This is so good and delicious. We got to figure out how to get that chalkiness off. I do find it's not perfect, but if you do froth it, it really helps. This is about a $20. So put it on your Christmas list if you don't have one. It's battery operated and it just froths it. So, and it really helps mix it up a little bit better so you don't get that chalky from, because it's quite a bit of cinnamon. So, but this is just a great way to just treat yourself every day and just say, this is like, oh, it's just doing lots of good stuff in my body and it really tastes yummy. You just take a little sip, froth it up. So just a fun way to just eat delicious, drink delicious, warm drink. Okay. So then the last thing we want to do is the home style beans and rice. So I have already made the rice, but let me show you because we are almost at the top of the hour. So I recommend for time that you use the brown rice, the minute brown rice. This is not anything added. Be careful. The little cups that they have, they now have little cups. Those are like added stuff. Okay. And they tricked me because they look just like this. And I was like, oh, cool. Now they have little individual, but read the ingredient list and the nutrient panel. It's like all this says is pre-cooked parboiled brown rice. Parboiled just means it's cooked, stopped, and put in the back box. So it cuts down. It takes about 12 minutes to cook the brown rice here in the box versus 35 to 40 minutes if you're to do it on the stove from straight brown rice. Okay, it is a little more expensive than straight brown rice. And we do a ratio of 1:1 for this, for the minute parboiled. So it's 1 cup of raw rice, 1 cup of water. Boil it for about 12 minutes, okay? At low boil. I usually bring the water to a boil, add the rice, and then put the timer on 12 minutes, and it's usually absorbed then, okay, in a low boil. So that's the rice. Yeah, so that's a super easy thing to do. So then we're going to throw together the rest. And actually, I'm going to tell you how to make it even easier than your directions. And when these recipes are recipes I worked on to make them delicious and make them bring out some of the stuff we talked about in class. And this one I say put in a blender. And you know what? I've done it without the blender when I've been in a pinch, and it's fine. Okay, so I don't like to have you have extra equipment, and plus, who likes to dirty extra dishes? So what I'm going to do is I just chopped up the walnuts. So I just chopped them up. It's got walnuts, and chop them up so that we don't have to put them in the blender. And then for the beans, the pinto beans, so I just got, again, no added salt pinto beans there. And I drained and rinsed them, and I'm just going to mash them. Now, I don't want to make refried beans out of them, because what you're going to see is I'm making like a ground beefy mixture. So I want it to look kind of, you'll see, it will look like ground beefy. Maybe it won't fool everybody, but it gives that feeling. So I'm just going to, I want some of it to be parts and some of it to be mashed up. So we're actually almost there. So pinto beans actually mash pretty easily. Okay, so there we go, that's it. So I'm gonna add to that my walnuts, and I'm gonna add, I've got lots of good spices here, ground ginger, cumin, chili powder. Make sure your chili powder is not Tone's or McCormick. They add salt to theirs. And you won't be able to read in their little tiny containers because they put it online instead of on the container. Just get any other off-brand that you can read the ingredient list, and you can see that it's not got any sodium. Okay, so we use a lot of these ingredients there. The coriander too. With the Tones here, you can actually peel off the label a little bit and just turn, and it pops off. Much easier to work with, to measure your teaspoon or half teaspoon. Garlic. The garlic, I already chopped that up, but real quickly, I want to show you. Let me get this out of the way. The garlic. There's a couple, I want you to just understand the garlic. You see the cloves here? We just want to get the knife in between and then twist it. Okay, we're not cutting it out. We're actually twisting it out. And then you'll get your clove out. The next thing, usually what I do is take the chef's knife, hold it steady, boom. Okay, now I can pick off the outer layer there and just pick that off. Now, if you don't like doing it that way, if you're like, no, the other way is just kind of cut off the top, cut off the bottom, and then it's much easier to peel off this, okay? And then you can cut it up. So whichever way. So 2 to 4 cloves, depending upon how big they are, how much garlic you like. So, but I like to use fresh garlic for this class. You can use jar. If you're not used to using fresh garlic, start with jar just so you get used to it. And I don't want anything to like deter you from doing these recipes. But for cancer, I do like using raw garlic, especially like in this recipe. It's just really nice. So, but it's fine if you want to use the jar. But I am going to heat up just a little bit of olive oil. Oh, I'm also going to chop real quickly. I'm going to show you my red onion. So I want you to learn how to chop an onion without crying. So here we have the onion, red or yellow or white, and we're going to take the hairy end and we're going to not, that's the root. We're not going to touch that yet. We're going to chop off the other end. Now we've got a flat end, and we're going to stand it up and go straight through the root. The root has the milk that makes you cry. So I know I just exposed it, but I'm not going to touch it and touch my eye or anything like that. I'm going to use the root to hold together the onion so I can cut it easily. So I'm going to peel back the skin there. If it falls off, that's fine, but just peel that back. Love this red layer that's got antioxidants in it. I'm going to do a horizontal cut. It's the hardest, most dangerous cut go maybe wiggle it a little bit. Don't go through the root. We're not going to touch that juice back there. We're going to go back out. And now I'm going to follow the lines of the onion there, depending upon how thick I want it. I'm not going through the root. I'm going up towards the root there. So now it's all ready to fall apart. This last cut is going to fall apart. So now I've got semi-equal chopped onion, and I didn't fry. So I have no guarantees, but most people don't fry as much. You can freeze it, things like that. But you know what? This is so easy. This is the best way to go. So if you've got a really strong onion with a lot of that milk, you're going to have trouble. So just don't touch your eye. So, okay. So I've got my mixture here. I'm going to take my olive oil. This is the extra virgin olive oil that I highly recommend. We'll talk more about it. There are other possible ones, but not very many. So I'm going to turn this on. Power, there we go. And I'm going to first put my oil down and get it heated up, and then put my garlic and then add this in. So I'm going to put my hand, you guys can't see so much, put my hand, when I feel the heat about 6 inches up, then I know it's ready for the garlic or the onion. Right now I'm going to use the garlic. I could have sauteed up a little bit of garlic. It's going to take off a little bit of the edge if I did that. I'm going to give it 20 to 30 seconds here. If you go longer than that, you're going to burn your garlic. Now, if you're at home, you can smell it, and that's when you're like, oh, it's done. But it's 20 to 30 seconds. Here, this open aired room, we're not going to smell it. So I'm just going to, this is high heat. So I'm going to mix, I didn't do a very good job of mixing this. And mix this up, my combination here. I'm going to add that. I need to get that garlic off of there before I burn it. So you got to get it off the bottom. And that's the most common mistake. Onions, you aren't going to burn for the most part. I mean, yes, you could in theory, but we caramelize onions. We do a lot of fun stuff with onions, but garlic, you just want to make it fragrant and then done. Mix it in. So now I'm just going to flatten this out and just kind of dry it out and cook a little bit, toast the walnuts a little bit, cook it and heat it through, and then it will be done. So I know we're over, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to put together my this. Well, I cut it a little more for those people here. Here's my romaine lettuce. You keep romaine. If I had the whole bunch together, take a damp paper towel over it. That's going to help it keep. This is a nice way to wrap. I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to take a little bit of my rice. Where's my rice over here? So I'm going to take a little bit of rice, just like a 1/4 cup. And you notice our proportions, I'm going less than what a lot of people do in proportions for the rice, the brown rice or the pasta or that. I'm just showing what are healthier proportions. Then I would take about a 1/3 cup of my bean mixture. It's fine to eat. It's just not quite cooked. I'm going to cook some more for us here. So, and then I'm going to finish off with salsa. So Linda's salsa is in this area. It's the lowest sodium. You want to look for your lowest sodium salsa. This one's only got 60 milligrams for 2 tablespoons. Typically, you're going to be closer to 200 for most salsas jarred. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there, like 2 tablespoons. And I can wrap it if I want to. I can add other wonderful things like scallion, cilantro, and then avocado is super anti-inflammatory. I try and have avocado several times a week. If you don't have an avocado ripe, there's holy avocado. These are a great way to go. Sprinkle on little scallions there, and then roll it up and eat it. How delicious does that look? Yum, yum, yum. So if you're serving it for guests and you're like, oh, I don't have, 4 leaves that look nice, that's okay. You can just chop up your lettuce like this and just serve with lettuce on the bottom. Okay. And that's one tip that I've been doing a lot more myself. Again, I'm always looking for ways to integrate. And greens, greens you want to have several times a week, dark green lettuce. And you can chop up greens, spinach, romaine, and just put it underneath anything. I put it underneath recently pasta. Like, it sounds silly, but why not? I didn't, I'm eating the pasta, cutting it up, and I have some greens in there. Greens don't really taste a lot, so I got my dark green. So I just, adding more greens to things. So this is about done here. I'm just going to put it down and then we can eat it. So my apologies for going over. We're going to eat here, but I do want you to set an action step before you go. Next week, so look at that list, check something off. Those people here, if you want to leave one of the action steps here so that you make sure you have it, and then the one that you take home, you can put on the refrigerator or, something like that. But next week, we're going to do rainbow wraps. So we're going to talk about the colors and what the colors mean. It's more than just pretty. There's a lot of significance to color. And we're going to do rainbow wraps. And we're going to do anytime broccoli, roasted broccoli. So some really great dishes and some great information about getting more cancer fighting power in our bodies. So thank you everybody at home, and send me any questions you have, and I'm going to get set up here for eating time.